Welcome to Woman Behind the Brand. I'm Suzy Graven. Growing up in the ranching country of the Nebraska Sandhills, I lived among the tales and the trails that opened the western frontier, with neighbors who still work their family homesteads, surviving Dust Bowls, Depression, World Wars, and even prosperity. Legendary or not, I was always fascinated by the stories of women, some funny, some inspiring, and others emotional. Each week we will follow their changing roles as we weave vibrant stories of resourceful and courageous women who shed more than their bustles to carve out lives in the American frontier and grow as community leaders, artists, educators, and entrepreneurs. And today's woman who shares a certain drive, grit, and spirit.
Herman Melville once wrote, "It's not down in any map. True places never are." The woman of the American West lives up to the challenges and finds her one true place when life takes an unexpected turn. A challenge driven not by a passion, as much as an unfixed walk away from the usual. She defines her own identity. She breathes new life into a weary situation. She's a resourceful placeholder. She is the woman behind the brand.
Charlie Russell was born to one of the leading families in St. Louis. Like many of his time, he was fascinated by the dime novel fantasies of the American West. In 1880, the 15-year-old left home to move to the Montana Territory and become a cowboy. Russell's art both documents and romances the cowboy culture and illustrates times and events in Western history. It was there Charlie Russell met and married the fiery young redhead Nancy Cooper. Nancy took care of the social and business end of her husband's career. A sharp businesswoman and tough negotiator, she became a promoter and business agent, arranging exhibitions and sales nationwide. Nancy was successful in advancing Charlie Russell's Western image. Using Charlie's stories of the American West, Nancy Cooper Russell kept her husband's image alive in the American mind. If you combine Nancy Cooper Russell's head for business and Charlie's love of the cowboy way of life, you will gather what feeds the creative hunger of today's woman behind the brand. Modern cowboy artist and businesswoman Carrie Fell. One of the hardest working artists in the business, Carrie Fell has a contemporary take on the New West. Her dramatic use of color and line draws you into the traditional stories of Western art. Stories of cowboys, cowgirls, horses, and the infinite sky.
If anybody's ever been to a ghost town, you just can imagine how when a life was bustling and everything was going. I thought that was what my story was. It was these ghostly riders, and they were going to ride through because they had all this colorful, wonderful, charismatic personalities, and they were like salt of the earth, and they had the essence of what a human being really wants to do when they want to change something that they don't think is right. And they have that fire in them, that fire in the belly. And so that's what I thought I would paint, this hard-charging horseman that became quintessential in my work, that they were riding forward and you could almost hear them ride. Didn't really like it when I was called a Western artist because it was like there were so many great Western artists that actually depicted the West. I was depicting a completely different cowboy. It was a cowboy that didn't exist. It was just in my imagination. It wasn't just about the cowboy. It was about creating something without a face that somebody could look at and then put themselves there, put a person there. It really became a muse. The whole idea of it became a muse. And there was so much that you could say. I mean, there was so much you could do.
The cowboy for Carrie became the searcher, the scout, the symbol of her own personal journey as she navigated this ever-changing frontier. Before long, This image had a voice of its own.
Ruby's letters, the edge of wild. Suddenly, Ruby becomes preoccupied with the ease of her way, even at the sight of the broken fence. She counts on October's road to be blanketed with early fallen leaves, so to cushion the rugged miles of byway that lead towards cowboy country. Later on is when I started writing from Ruby, and Ruby is my pen name that I write in my journals. And she is like this nomad or this traveling rambler, and she just goes, and it's just a life journey. And so when I write Ruby, Ruby's looking for cowboy all the time. Ruby is in search of cowboy. That's all she's doing. And a lot of people read that as a romance tale that is being spun, but it's really not. She's looking for herself always uncovering something new about herself. Why that made sense for me, why it didn't become a depiction of Western genre, it became a depiction of using the genre and being able to weave a story that I was trying to tell about myself, but I didn't really want to tell anybody about myself because I didn't really reveal too much about myself, hiding behind the art, the whole thing. But it worked, and it works for me still because I can really lay out what I want to feel but I don't have to say it. I can say it in a picture, and I can say it so subtly that I still know that it was maybe deep and complex, and somebody else says, oh, it's just a cowboy and a horse. What she searches for may forever lie on the other side. Ruby adjusts herself back firmly in the saddle and climbs the mountain, if only to get a vision as to what opportunity may befall her. I've been painting professionally now for just 19 years, going on 20 years. The cowboys, primarily. I keep to the core because of pretty much that belief that the cowboy to me is the guiding light. They had their horse and they navigated by the stars and by, the seasons, and they knew when to stay and they knew when to go, and life romances us, and then it gives us these challenging moments that, we really have to forge through. You can quit, it's easy. Just lay down your saddle and just, and take a rest, or you just move through. And so I'm just one of those move through girls, and it's not always fun and it's not always easy, but you just saddle up every day and go.
Carrie Fell stumbled upon and fell in love with the values of a country lifestyle that fuels both her daily life and her unique depiction of the modern cowboy. Carrie's works can be found in numerous galleries and exhibitions, and her list of avid collectors continues to grow. Join us next week as we celebrate women, past and present, whose lives illustrate the courage, resilience, and independence that helped shape the American West.